Paddy Pimblett did come in the cage tonight. Is that the fight that you want more than anything else?
Yes. Yes, that's the fight that I want. Because with Charles, I had a little bit difficult situation because I really like the guy, you know? He's a really great human being. You can hate him. You always see him surrounded by his family, friends, teammates. He's an amazing human being. But at the end, I was like, this is competition. I have to do my job, and that's it. But with Paddy, I'm really gonna enjoy kicking his ass.
Ilia Topuria versus Paddy is one of the truest grudges that we have in our sport right now. Some of you might not have known about it, and the rest of you might have forgot about it. But that B-roll and footage exists every bit as much as Masvidal and Leon exist. Ilia and Paddy exist. But how do we get there? One thing that Paddy said about his career, he said, fight Gaethje and then I'll go deal with Charles. But he had a different idea if Ilia won. If Ilia wins and that's the big grudge match, move Gaethje out of the side, he's ready for the title right now.
Paddy Pimblett did come in the cage tonight. There's Arman Tsarukyan, there's Justin Gaethje. Is that the fight that you want more than anything else?
Yes, that's the fight that I want. With Charles, I had a little bit difficult situation because I really like the guy. He's an amazing human being. But at the end, I was like, this is competition. I have to do my job. But with Paddy, I'm really gonna enjoy it.
Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje is quietly shaping up as one of the most dangerous crossroads fights in the UFC right now. Not just for what happens on fight night, but for everything that comes after. If Paddy pulls this off, the entire lightweight division shifts. Already chaotic, already tense, and packed with unfinished business. This fight could be the final domino that sends it into absolute mayhem. On one side, Justin Gaethje, a proven killer, a relentless pressure machine, a man who has broken elite fighters with nothing but pace, violence, and sheer refusal to back down. On the other, Paddy Pimblett, still doubted, still questioned, still mocked by some corners of the MMA world, yet somehow always finding a way to win when it matters most.
And that is Ilia comes back, but the bolder prediction is he loses. He comes back too soon, still dealing with all this bullshit, and ends up losing because he's not in the right headspace. But I think Ilia's a smart guy. That's why I'm, kind of on the fence about this prediction a little bit, right? I'm not saying like, I really believe his prediction or anything. But man, fighters don't like not fighting. They don't like sitting on the sidelines. I can speak from my own experience. Every time I got injured and someone wants to watch a UFC card, it's hard to watch. You can't sit there and watch it. You want to be the guy in there. You want to be the one that people are watching. And I think he's going to have that. He's healthy. He's not, it's obviously he's dealing with some pretty heavy shit, but he's healthy. He wants to come back and compete and fight. And I think he'll end up breaking to that, and he'll end up coming back. But it's not going to be a good time, and he's going to be dealing with shit. And, that's kind of two bold predictions, to be honest.
I believe through the headlines is that Ilia was walking away from the UFC championship belt, thus elevating Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett to undisputed title. Now, once I dug into this, I can't quite recall why I thought it in the first place. I mean, once I dug into it, there was nothing in the article that said that Paddy and Justin was going to be undisputed, or that the UFC was accepting, or that Ilia was surrendering a belt back. And I was talking with Daniel Cormier. Daniel's always got the inside scoop. It's like, hey, Daniel, you just got back from calling this event. What is going on there? Is Justin and Paddy moved up? And Daniel said no. He said that essentially in all of these articles and all of these news waves that have now just come out on Ilia Topuria, it's repackaging what we already knew. It was Ilia coming in front of this thing and saying, hey, I'm dealing with some big stresses in my personal life, and one of the great concerns that I have is that there's going to be a claim made against me for domestic violence, and I'm sitting here and I'm just waiting for this shoe to drop. And until it does, and until I can deal with that, try to work my own personal things back into order, I won't be competing. Now, I think a lot of you are going to hear what I just said and go, hey, Chael, you're 2 weeks late on the story. No, that is the story. The story is that this made headlines for something that we were already told a couple of weeks ago, and there is no escalation from that, meaning Ilia Topuria is not vanquishing or having stripped from him the time.
That's where the stigma begins. Gaethje is supposed to be the reality check, the gatekeeper, the man who ends hype trains and sends fighters back down the rankings with scars they never fully recover from. His style: chaos with structure, brutal leg kicks, relentless pressure, and the ability to drag fights into uncomfortable territory where mistakes become fatal. Most believe that if Paddy stands too long, absorbs too much, or gets reckless, Gaethje will break him. But that's also where Paddy becomes deadly. He thrives in mess. He thrives when fights go off script, when brains stop thinking clearly. His grappling transitions are lightning fast, his submission instincts sharp. The moment the fight hits the mat, the dynamic flips. One slip, one overcommitment from Gaethje, and suddenly Paddy is on the back, hunting the neck, and the narrative changes in seconds.
Yeah, I do boxing classes, wrestling classes, because when the training camp comes, I try to mix it up and polish everything that I have been able to learn, everything that worked for me in wrestling and boxing. I want to develop all the time my knowledge. I want to get better all the time, and I can get better if I only go and train MMA. I need to learn new techniques. Like in BJJ, you never end up learning. One thing is what you know, and the other is what you do with what you know.
Who do you think should be next for Ilia?
Who should be next for Ilia? 55 has always been so cloudy at the top. Maybe Gaethje. I think him going to 170 to fight Islam, if Islam wins, is a stretch, you know? Islam's big, man. I've never seen Ilia in person, but he seems smaller. I know obviously he can knock anyone out. I do think if they fight, Ilia can knock anybody out from 45 to 170. He has the skills, the power, the technique, and but we've just never seen him in there with somebody that big and somebody with that caliber of wrestling. But I think he should defend the 55 title a few times before that's talked about.
This fight isn't as simple as people want it to be. Looming over everything is the bigger prize. Because if Paddy wins, whether by submission, chaos, or sheer will, the conversation won't stay on Justin Gaethje for long. It immediately shifts to Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria, the man who stepped away, the champion who vacated, the fighter dealing with real-life chaos outside the cage, while the division moved on without him. Suddenly, Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria doesn't feel like fantasy. It feels inevitable, stylistically. It's a completely different puzzle. Gaethje brings raw violence. Ilia brings precision, calm pressure, elite boxing, and suffocating grappling defense. Ilia doesn't chase chaos, he controls it. And that contrast is why the matchup would be electric. Paddy brings unpredictability, momentum, and fan energy. Ilia brings championship composure, technical sharpness, and the focus of someone who believes they're destined to dominate. Add in the emotional weight of Ilia returning after personal turmoil, and this fight carries more than just rankings. It carries narrative power. The UFC at its most dangerous and compelling lives in moments like this. Paddy beating Gaethje wouldn't just be an upset. It would be a statement, and a battle-tested, surging Paddy facing a returning Ilia. That's the kind of fight the UFC builds entire eras around. Right now, everything hinges on one question. Can Paddy survive the storm long enough to drag Justin Gaethje into deep water? Because if he does, the Ilia fight isn't just possible, it's next.